In Algebra 2, Section 4-6, we're dealing with the quadratic formula. Let me tell you why I'm so excited, because you're going to be just as excited. You can solve any quadratic equation with a quadratic formula. So when you get stuck and you're not sure how to, now it's longer than factoring or square rooting. It's longer than those other methods. So if you could do the other methods, you know what, go for it. But there's going to be times where you're just not sure how to solve it, and you're going to end up with weird decimals. So that's what the quadratic formula is for. It's a solve all safety equation. Okay? So basically, we're just going to identify our A, B, and C. So let's try the first one. This is our A, which is 1. Our B, which is -8. Oh, here's a tricky thing, is that this is x squared minus 8x equals 33. In order for me to do this, it has to equal 0. And it has to be in order, right? A is not the first coefficient, it's the coefficient attached to x squared. B is not the second, it's a coefficient attached to x. So if they're out of order, you can put them in order. So I need to make this equal to 0 by subtracting 33 to both sides. I end up with x squared minus 8x minus 33 equals 0. Now I can list it. My A is 1, my B is -8, and my C is -33. Okay? Once I've identified those, right here, then I can plug it into this equation. I'm going to do, my answer will equal -b, so -8, plus or minus the square root of -b squared, minus 4 times A times C, which is -33. Okay? Which gives, these negatives give me +8, over 2 times 1. So this gives me a +8 plus or minus, I'm going to focus first on the square root. So -8 squared, everything else I'm just going to, 2 times 1 is 2. So this is 16, +16. -4 times 1 times -33. So 4 times 33. Positive 132. So these negatives right here cancel out, so I have positive 132. So this gives me square root of 8 plus or minus the square root of 148 all over 2. Okay? So I can, because I know square root of 148 is not going to give me a perfect square, I can do 8 plus or minus the square root of 148 each over 2, because I know 8 is divisible by 2, so it's 4 plus or minus square root of 148 over 2. Now, I can reduce 148, but I don't have to. I will accept the answer without it, so I'm just going to circle this. Also, if you have this answer, it'll be acceptable for me too. I just need to make sure you know how to apply the quadratic equation. Now, you can actually figure out the decimal to this if you would like, but you can also leave it in this format. I think the book will give you both. So let's try it on this one, number 2. Because everything is order, our A is 1, our B equals -6, and our C equals 2. Let's try it again. X equals -6 plus or minus the square root of -6 squared minus 4 times 1 times 2 all over 2 times 1. So this is 6 plus or minus the square root of 36 minus 8 all over 2. And this is 6 plus or minus the square root of 28 over 2. Now the square root of 28 can also be reduced to, because 6 plus or minus square root of 28 is the same thing as saying the square root of 4 times 7, which is what you could have done with 148. You could have factored it out like we did from last two sections. Divided by 2, this 4 comes out. So it goes 6 plus or minus 2 root 7 over 2. So this is 6 over 2 plus or minus 2 root 7 over 2. So this becomes 6 over 2, 3, and these cancel out, so plus or minus root 7. So I have this answer, I could accept this answer, and I can also accept that answer. All right, the important thing is you know how to apply the quadratic formula. Go ahead and pause it, write this down. Try page 269, numbers 1 and 6, 269, numbers 1 and 6, and I'll see you in class.